Guys, I want to talk about Star Wars Rebels, and I want to talk about how I think Sabine is going to be in the next movie and how I think she is connected to Rey and what's going on in Star Wars. Firstly, I think that Sabine could be in the next movie because one, Sabine is the person that created the Rebel logo. She was the one that created the official sign of the rebellion. Secondly, Sabine would be the right age of the person that could come back. She would obviously be an older woman, but she probably would be around the same age as Leia. I remember interviews from a long time ago where they were saying that it was very, very highly likely that their characters from Star Wars Rebels were going to have cameos or going to have roles in the future movies of Star Wars. In Rogue One, they used Saw Gerrera's character. He was originally in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and he has had episodes on Rebels. And in Rogue One, there is a cameo of the Ghost Hera's ship and of Chopper. And if you haven't watched Rebels, but you've seen Rogue One, Chopper is the little orange droid in the hangar, and there's a ship, the Ghost, is in the hangar as well. I remember when Rebels first came out, and Dave Filoni was talking about all the characters, and he was talking about Sabine, and how he was really excited to introduce her because she was a Mandalorian. So at the time, I remember thinking, oh, cool, a Mandalorian character, that's awesome. But I think that there is a lot of significance of Sabine's character because of all the storylines in Star Wars Rebels involving her and the Mandalorians and the Darksaber. In case you don't know what the Darksaber is, I'm going to explain it briefly. So the Darksaber is a lightsaber that was created by the only Mandalorian Jedi. The Mandalorian Jedi was named Tar Vizsla. The Darksaber is unlike any other lightsabers. It's also a symbol to the Mandalorians. Also, the Mandalorians believe that the Darksaber is a symbol of leadership. So whoever the leader is, whoever the ruler is, has to carry or should carry the Darksaber. So these clips explaining Tar Vizsla and the Darksaber, they are in Star Wars Rebels. Now, this story arc is a major story arc on Star Wars Rebels, and it is recent and it is new. It is included in the last season of Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars Rebels isn't over yet, but it's included in season 4, and it had a lot of storylines in season 3, I believe. So these episodes with all the Mandalorian stuff aired not too long before the release of The Last Jedi. Anything in Star Wars has importance and can be used again later, but I feel like there's a lot of significance because these episodes aired shortly before the release of The Last Jedi. Now, this story arc with the Darksaber goes back to the Clone Wars. There's a whole story arc with the Darksaber and Clone Wars. If you want to watch it, you can watch it on Netflix. I feel like there is significance with the Darksaber because why would they bring that back? Why would they bring back a storyline from Clone Wars into Rebels if there wasn't a purpose, if there wasn't a reason? And George Lucas came up with the idea of the Darksaber. Dave Filoni wrote a lot of the storylines with George Lucas on Clone Wars. He also is the guy behind Star Wars Rebels. And in interviews, Dave Filoni he said that he has collaborated ideas with Rian Johnson. He's really the person that was writing a lot of stuff for Star Wars, connecting all the dots, tying things together, and writing things before the new live-action movies. Kathleen Kennedy has talked about how Dave Filoni has been a major help to Star Wars. So my point is, Dave Filoni is a key player. He's a key player to storytelling in the Star Wars universe. Everything in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels is considered canon. So let's move forward to Sabine and the Darksaber. So in Star Wars Rebels, Sabine gets the Darksaber, and Sabine can wield the Darksaber. And the point of Sabine getting the Darksaber is that Sabine is supposed to give it to the rightful ruler of Mandalore. Sabine returns home and they allow her to stay because she has the Darksaber. So the Darksaber ultimately unites all the Mandalorian clans and helps all the clans to rally together to go up against the Empire. So Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber, and Bo-Katan becomes the leader of Mandalore, the Queen. And Bo-Katan is Satine's sister, and she says when she takes the saber that she will take it for her sister, her clan, and for all of Mandalore. In case you don't know who Satine is, Satine was Duchess of Mandalore, so she basically was the queen before she was killed, and she and Obi-Wan had a love affair. You can watch the whole story arc on Netflix. It's really, really good, really sad, but good. Basically, the rebels ask the help of the Mandalorians because they need their help. Mandalorians are very strong warriors. The Mandalorians help the Rebel Alliance, and something that I thought was really interesting is that Bo-Katan, they mentioned this in one of the episodes, was named Regent by the Jedi. The Jedi gave Bo-Katan an honorable position during the Clone Wars. So there are ties between Bo-Katan and the Jedi, not just because of her sister having a love affair with Obi-Wan. So to provide some background information, at first, Sabine did not want the Darksaber. She did not want the responsibility of the Darksaber. The thing I found really interesting was when Hera was talking to Kanan about Sabine handling the Darksaber, she was like, do you not think she can do it because she doesn't have the Force? And Kanan said, everyone has the Force, which ties back to Yoda saying the Force is in everything and all living beings. Kanan said that Sabine just couldn't open herself up to the Darksaber. At first she couldn't because her emotions were out of whack, her emotions were all over the place. And he said a comment that I thought was really interesting. It went something like, she's so closed off, yet so expressive. And he's really frustrated about that. And Hera says, she's so Mandalorian. Basically, she's very stubborn. Because all Mandalorians are headstrong and stubborn and fierce warriors. Also, Kanan mentions the Mandalorian Jedi War, which happened like thousands of years ago in Star Wars history between the Jedi and the Mandalorians. And he says to Sabine, Mandalorian tricks are not going to beat a Jedi. Mandalorian Jedi War was first introduced in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, so I absolutely love the fact that they talked about that again. When they first find the Darksaber in Star Wars Rebels, the main characters, Kanan says that the Darksaber is not just any lightsaber. So the significance of the Darksaber has been repeated constantly, and the significance of Mandalorians has been repeated through all the storylines and the relationship between Jedi and Mandalorians. So I feel like this is all very significant. Now, what does this have to do with Rey? In The Last Jedi, at the end of the movie, the Resistance was escaping and they were trying to communicate with their allies. And they talked about their allies in the Outer Rim. Mandalorians live in the Outer Rim. It would make sense if their allies are the Mandalorians because 1, they're in the Outer Rim. 2, in Star Wars Rebels, they helped the Rebel Alliance. At the end of The Last Jedi, they were heading towards the Outer Rim. That's where they were going. So if Rey and the gang encounter Mandalorians, I think the Mandalorians are going to figure out who she is, or they're going to recognize her. And they're going to know if she is royalty. And the character that they could bring in to explain all of that to Rey is Sabine. Sabine was the one that gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. She was there during the whole fight against the Empire. Sabine could be the one that explains Rey her Mandalorian heritage. Sabine could also just have a small role in a live-action movie. She wouldn't have to have a big role. So for people who hadn't watched Rebels, they wouldn't be confused by her showing up. Sabine could literally just be there for exposition to explain some of Rey's past. Sabine is a Mandalorian, so she probably would be with other Mandalorians at this time. And because Sabine is a Mandalorian, she'd be the perfect character to explain Rey's past. If Rey is Obi-Wan and Satine's granddaughter, then that means that Sabine gave the Darksaber to Rey's aunt. So Sabine would have known Rey's family. I think it would be really cool if Sabine gave Rey the Darksaber. It would be really cool because she gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. So it would be really, really awesome if she gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan's niece, to Obi-Wan and Satine's granddaughter. I also think it'd be really cool if Rey got the Darksaber because she could use the weapon that killed her grandmother. She could kind of take back the family honor in a way. I remember reading an article where it was suggested that there was going to be a new color lightsaber in The Last Jedi. After The Last Jedi, I remember thinking to myself, well, where was the new color lightsaber? I guess there wasn't one in this movie. And I wonder if that is actually going to be the Darksaber in episode 9. Because I remember the article said that it was going to be a new lightsaber color never shown before on screen. Well, the Darksaber has never been shown on the big screen in the movies. Although the Darksaber has never been shown on the big screen, it actually has been mentioned. A wonderful person told me this, that there was a direct reference to the Darksaber in Rogue One. I never caught this when I watched it, but somebody explained to me, and then I looked it up and saw it, that during the scene where Jin and the other characters are looking at the computer and they're looking for Stardust, there's a list of all kinds of weapons and secrets that the Empire has. And there is, on this list, one of the things is called the Black Saber, which is in reference to the Darksaber. So the fact that they put it in a movie, a live-action Star Wars movie, even though it was an Easter egg and it was a hidden reference that you wouldn't have caught the first time, like me, they still listed it. So I feel like that is a lot of significance, so that means something. And Anakin's lightsaber is broken. Rey has to get a new lightsaber. Now, I still have a theory that she's going to get Obi-Wan's lightsaber, but maybe she gets the Darksaber before she gets Obi-Wan's. And maybe she uses the Darksaber to unite her people and rally the Resistance and the Mandalorians together to fight against the First Order. I just think that would be such an epic storyline, and Rey would be the only second Mandalorian Jedi, because there has only been one. I feel like that would be something different that we haven't seen on the big screen before. And I think it would be really cool if The Last Jedi is the Mandalorian Jedi, because essentially it was the Mandalorians that killed the Jedi in a sense, because the clones, their DNA was from Jango, and Jango Fett was a Mandalorian. So I think it'd be really cool if the Jedi are brought back by a Mandalorian. The Mandalorians are the only group of people that have been a match for Force users. There was a Mandalorian and Jedi war in the ancient Star Wars days. Jedi have also been allies with the Mandalorians. So there has actually been a long relationship of Jedi and Mandalorians. Another reason why I think the Mandalorians could show up in episode 9 is the fact that the Mandalorians are warriors. They are extremely skilled in combat. They are extremely skilled with their weapons. So if you need people to fight for you, you're going to go to the strongest group. Resistance hardly has anyone left, so they're going to go for the strongest people. And if episode 9 is showing the war well, you have to have people to have a war. So I think it's going to be the same thing of Rebels. In Star Wars Rebels, they asked the Mandalorians for help against the Empire because the Mandalorians are strong warriors. So I think the Resistance is going to ask for the help of the Mandalorians again. And some of the Mandalorians, the older Mandalorians, would have fought with Leia. They would have fought for Leia. They would have known who Leia was because the Mandalorians helped the Rebel Alliance. Sabine and the characters from Star Wars Rebels also met Leia. They personally spoke with her. So Sabine and the other Mandalorians who fought against the Empire, they would respect Leia. They would have loyalty to Leia. So they would help Leia and the Resistance. There has just been so many Mandalorian storylines and so many storylines with Bo-Katan, and they mentioned Satine again. So I just feel like there's got to be a reason to why there were so many Mandalorian storylines. The fact that they brought Bo-Katan back, Satine's sister, and they brought back the Darksaber storylines, and they brought back storylines from Clone Wars into Rebels, I just feel like that has importance. And Bo-Katan was named Regent by Obi-Wan Kenobi, by the Jedi. She was named that during the Clone Wars. I also have a theory that the Mandalorians might be the people that have Obi-Wan's lightsaber. There was a Twitter post about Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and I think the tweet went something like, "What did you think that Vader did with Obi-Wan's lightsaber when Obi-Wan vanished?" So maybe after the fall of the Empire, the Mandalorians retrieved Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and maybe they've kept it in safekeeping. Because the Mandalorians had good relations with Obi-Wan, and if Obi-Wan had a child with Satine, Bo-Katan would have known about it. So maybe they're the ones that have kept Obi-Wan's lightsaber. Also, Mandalorians care about family. In Star Wars Rebels, they reinforce that belief when Finn Raw says, "Mandalorians believe in family." Family is very important to the Mandalorians. And what is really important to Rey? Family. I think Rey's personality is very similar to Obi-Wan's and Satine's, and I think Rey acts a lot like a Mandalorian. Mandalorians are very stubborn, they're very headstrong, they care a lot about family and honor. Also, if Rey is Satine's granddaughter, they would listen to Rey. The Mandalorians would listen to her because she would be the rightful heir. So the Mandalorians would join the cause for the Resistance because of Rey being royalty. I also have a theory that Boba Fett could be in Episode 9. Around the release of Force Awakens, there was talk about how Boba Fett had lived. It was confirmed that he lived in the Return of the Jedi, that he survived. And then there was nothing about him. Like, he wasn't featured in any other expanded universe stuff. There was news about a Boba Fett movie in the works, and then that hasn't really been talked much again, which I would love to see a Boba Fett movie. I went to Disney World before the release of The Last Jedi, and I saw this really awesome Star Wars Disney show, and in the Disney show, Boba Fett is featured, and in the show, he says, "I will be back. You can count on it." So I bring this up for many reasons. I've been going to Disney World pretty much my whole life, and I love Disney World, and every Disney Star Wars show I have seen, they have never featured Boba Fett. This is the first time I have seen Boba Fett in a show out of all the years I've been to Disney World. And not only is he in the show, he has a major part in the show. Like, usually in the Star Wars shows where they would show the bad guys, it was usually just Sith. Like, they would show Vader, they'd show the Sith. Also gave Boba Fett a new line in this show, "I'll be back, you can count on it." I don't ever remember Boba Fett saying that in the Star Wars movies or any of the Star Wars expanded stuff. And I think that's very significant because when I watched the show, they had Kylo cut the First Order symbol with his lightsaber. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this means something because he is cutting the symbol of the First Order. And then he killed Snoke in The Last Jedi. I feel like having Boba Fett in the show is also for a marketing purpose. They want to show Boba Fett again, and usually when Star Wars or a movie is marketing characters, that's usually because they are going to use them in something else. So what I'm saying is that they said that he was alive. They confirmed he was alive around the time of Force Awakens being released, and he hasn't been used in anything. I personally think that they're saving Boba Fett for Episode 9. Boba Fett has always been a massively popular character, but there's been so much recent marketing of him. It makes me think that they are saving his character for Episode 9 because if there was no relation, why haven't they used him in anything? And if he's alive, he would probably be with the Mandalorians possibly, and I think it'd be a cool twist if Boba Fett, who was hunting Han in the original series, helped the resistance in them because Rey was the rightful heir to Mandalore. There has just been so many Mandalorian storylines and marketing with Mandalorians. I saw a Sabine doll that was next to a Rey doll, and at first I didn't think anything of it because I thought, oh, maybe it's just the Forces of Destiny thing, but usually they place dolls next to each other for a reason. Like, I saw a Poe figurine that was next to a Hera figurine in the official Star Wars store after the Star Tours ride. And both Hera and Poe are pilots, so it made sense that they put them next to each other. The Sabine doll that was next to the Rey doll, this was like at Walmart. And so it wasn't like this was at a Star Wars store. And usually stores like Walmart, they will only sell toys from the movies of Star Wars. They usually don't sell toys from other Star Wars mediums. So if Rey is a Mandalorian, it would make sense they would put her doll next to another Mandalorian character's doll. The reason why I think the Mandalorians are coming to Episode 9 is because in the novelization of Force Awakens, it talks about Kylo killing a warrior. In the novelization of Force Awakens, it talks about a cloaked figure killing a warrior. This is the scene from Rey's vision, and in the novelization, it doesn't call Kylo a warrior. It calls him like a cloaked figure or a masked figure. And usually Mandalorians are referred as Mandalorian warriors. When I first watched Force Awakens, I thought the people being killed by Kylo and Rey's vision, I thought they were the Jedi. I thought they were the Jedi that Kylo had killed. And I watched the movie several more times and I was like, wait a second, it's raining where he's killing the people. Then with the little snippet of Luke and R2 with the temple burning, it wasn't raining. And then The Last Jedi confirmed all of that. It confirmed that the people that Kylo was killing in the rain, they were not Jedi. So I think the people that he was killing were the Mandalorians. Maybe he was killing them because they had Obi-Wan's lightsaber. So I just feel like it would be a huge missed storytelling opportunity if they don't use the Mandalorians again because they have used so many Mandalorian storylines. The Mandalorian storylines have connected with everything else. The storylines are awesome and I love Mandalorians. If you guys have any Rey theories you would like to share, please let me know in the comment section below, or any theories in general. I love talking to people about Star Wars theories. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please like it and please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And remember, may the Force be with you.